Okay, so I bought this in Poundland and I've given it a spray of primer, and then I've given it a little undercoat of white acrylic paint, just so it's got a little bit more of a, you know, a finish to it. You can still see where it had the enamel eye bits there, because it was like, originally it was, as you can see, it was black originally, and it had like white outliney bits around the eyes and stuff, but I didn't think that was a particularly sexy look, so I removed that because I'm like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this little bad boy up, make him cute or not, depending on how it turns out. He's, or she's, they are a little candle holder, like votive. You put your little tea light in there and what have you. It was a Halloween decoration, but I thought it'd be more fun as something a bit more, I don't know. Well, we'll see how it goes anyway. Who knows how it will turn out, because, hey, who knows, full stop. Who knows how anything will turn out in this weird year. Right, so I'm going to give it a bit of, what is this colour? This is Flesh Ochre. Ooh, that sounds gross, doesn't it? Nice and gloopy one. It's a nice paint, this one, actually. Available from all good and some bad art shops. But it's nice and firm. As you can see, it's quite a nice thick one, so you can make it nice and glurpy. It also, you can buy little attachments so you can squeeze out lines of this stuff. And because it's like a little sachet like this, you can get pretty much every single little squeeze of the paint out of it. So that's quite nice. I quite like it. I'm not being sponsored by anyone either, as you can probably tell by my follow account, so please follow account. No, that's not right. Subscriptions. As you can tell by my subscription count, follow account. I'm thinking Twitter. Go to hell. Twitter. Twitter, that hellscape that is Twitter. So yeah, so I'm gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna end up with, but you know, I thought this would be a bit fun, a bit different. Make it into, I don't know whether to make it super realistic or super cartoony, so it may be somewhere between the two, which may not be a particularly great place to be, but who knows? Who knows, eh? Am I right? I'm not sure this is actually, I mean, it says Flesh Ochre, but frankly, I don't know anyone who's that colour. I mean, I'm quite white, but ridiculous. No one's this colour. This is not flesh. I'm trying to think what I've seen that's like that. Even like raw chicken is not this weird colour. I think it's called, it makes me think of like old ivory. I think it's more of an old ivory colour than it is a flesh colour. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm old ivory. Maybe I'm flesh coloured. I mean, I'm my flesh coloured, but I'm not generally flesh coloured. There are a lot more people with, well, I mean, God. How does one figure out if one is flesh coloured or not? I mean, and define flesh, define anything really. I don't know how I managed to get blue on this, by the way. Let me just give that a little. Oh, well, that was unexpected. Fudge. That was very unexpected. I wonder what have I got on that that's so water soluble? Oh, wash it off. Give it a little. What? That's what I forgot. Bugger. I forgot to. I normally have like a little bit of tissue or something, or blue roll, or kitchen towel, or I don't know what you call all the different things. Oh, hey ho. go, away we go. And I've put too much water in this now. It's all gone runny. Oh, it's all gone piton. Christ. This is like my day off. The Goblin's day off. It's already evening. To be fair, I have already done one video. I mean, I say that. From your point of view, I may not have. Who knows? Am I right? I'll give them eyebrows, I think. This is definitely an eyebrow kind of cat. If it's going to be a cat at all by the time I finish with it. Because I say that. It probably will be a cat by the time I finish with it. It could be anything at all. It could be anything at all. Burnt sienna. Ooh, brown. Brown. Hashtag brown. I don't know why I said that. Da, 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 da. Brown, 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 brown. Brown, 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 brown. Brown, 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 brown. Brown, 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 brown. Brown, 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 brown. Brown, 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 brown. Well, technically speaking, it's sienna, but anything I could sing that would sound like that would actually be probably copyright. At least with Nessun Dorma, it's only the actual recordings are copyrighted. Whereas if you just sing it randomly, you don't get in trouble because it's a very old piece of music. Unless I'm wrong, in which case, please don't kill me. I would say, you know, I worry about being demonetized, but since I've never been monetized, it's not a problem. One day, though, one day. One day, many, many moons from now, I may end up with a following of people who something, something, something. Potato, 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 potato. I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, in this video, not like in general. I mean, to be fair, in general, no, I don't know what I'm doing here, but what am I doing? I am floofing around. Floof, 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 floof. Floof, 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 floof. Floof, 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 floof. Floof, floof. I don't know why I'm using such a small brush to do this, because I am a glutton for punishment, etc, etc, etc. Hashtag etc, etc. I mean, I should really have a plan for doing such things, but if you've ever met me, you know, planning is not my... I mean, I'm not anti-planning or anything, but, you know, life is, you know, it's very hard to make plans in these strange times. And I appreciate that, because, you know, sometimes you just can't make plans. Sometimes you don't want to make plans, sometimes you just want to go with it. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's not about it, going with it or going against it. It's just, you know, doing a thing. She says, making no sense whatsoever, but that's okay. Sometimes making no sense is the only sense you can... Oh, that's bullshit. I'm just talking bollocks now. I'm talking balls. a nice colour. I mean, it'd be quite interesting to do something where you actually compared like all the different versions of a particular colour from all the different brands you could get hold of. But I think it would be it'd be interesting for the person doing it. I don't think it'd be very interesting for anyone watching it, you know? Because it'd be like, oh yes, it's brown, it's the same shade of brown. I mean you'd see exactly how accurate the browniness of the browns were. I mean, obviously I probably wouldn't do it brown, do something a bit more exciting like black or white. Actually no, black is more interesting because you have more shimmery versions of black out there than you do. Because shimmery black's always interesting, you know? It's like, ooh, this black does this. I'm interested in Payne's grey. That's a weird colour. Because it's a dark grey, but it's got that sort of weird bluey tinge to it. Always makes me think of dove grey, but it's not dove grey, you know? I'm waffling on now, but that's okay as well. Sometimes you gotta waffle. I am the original waffle maker, but you cannot make, you cannot put ice cream. I mean, you can put ice cream on me, but I wouldn't advise it. It'd be quite fattening if you put ice cream on me, because I'd probably eat it. Although it depends on what kind of ice cream. Certain brands of ice cream I'm not keen on. Yeah, I know people who will only eat one particular flavour of one particular brand, and it's like, why? Why would you do that? And never believe ice cream that says soft scoop. Simple as. Soft scoop, soft serve, that sort of thing. Well, unless you're talking about like Mr. Whippy type ice cream, in which case, knock yourself out, that shit's good. What do you reckon? Is that too bright? Is that too bright? Do you find that too bright? I might turn it down a little bit. Turn that down a bit. Nope, too bright. That's a bit better. Is that better? Can you see better? I don't even know, man. This is still... I might turn the light down. The actual light. The actual light. There you go. How's that? I mean, it doesn't help that it's wet, obviously, because wet paint will be a bit more. Sorry, I'm not very ladylike. But then these days, who is like a lady? And what is a lady? I don't even know anymore. I mean, I'm ladylike for a goblin. I mean, don't get me wrong. The mother of goblins, that's me. An in-house goblin. Hey, hey, hey. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm having trouble keeping it under the... Bit of dry brush. Da, da, da. Time to do it. Probably should use cleaner water to do this. But hey. But hey. Da 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 na 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 da da da. Do you remember the old 1970s, 1980s version of Black Beauty? The music keeps going through my head. It's like my brain wants me to be done for some sort of copyright infringement. Yes, I am old, before anyone says anything. Old enough to know better. Haha, fools. There is no such thing as old enough to know better. Everyone has that family member who you think to yourself, surely they should know better than to behave like that by now. And you're like, nah, they obviously don't. I'm not thinking of anyone particular, but you know, if you feel that you're being attacked right now, then you probably are. That's generally how it works. I'm feeling so attacked right now. I'm feeling like attack right now. Attack! It's alright, the eyes are going to get covered up anyway, so don't worry about if I go on to the KKK. Okay. I don't know what I'm singing, but I probably am not singing what I mean to sing. Okay. I mean, technically speaking, this shouldn't really work because, I mean, the iris of the iris should be what's the word I'm thinking of? The iris should be black. Which I suppose once you've got, if you put the light on in this thing, if you put a light in this thing, then it would be in comparison black, but I will also probably I have a cat, by the way. He's not gingery. He's a chubby little black cat, and he's a good boy. He occasionally throws up in the kitchen, which is a bit of a nuisance, but apart from that, he's a good boy. He brought us a very large mouse the other day. And before anyone says, large mouse is a rat, it wasn't a rat, because rats have scaly tails and mice have furry tails, and this definitely had a furry tail. It was very fresh as well, still floppy. I don't know why I'm just sharing this with you. It's a weird thing to talk about, so I apologise if you are sensitive to such things. It didn't suffer, if there's any consolation. There was not a scratch on it. I have genuinely, you know, it must have been, Noodle must have just, my cat, Noodle, must have just leapt out and been like, you dead, and it just died of a heart attack or something. Not that Noodle talks like that, he's more sort of meow meow, meow meow meow. He's a very affectionate boy. Has a foot fetish though, which is unnerving. I mean, unless you're into that thing, in which case it's totally not unnerving. But for us, if you're just sitting there and all of a sudden this thing comes up and starts licking your feet, it's like, ah, no. Especially first thing in the morning when you're trying to make a cup of tea. Please no, please no, please no. I cannot deal with this, it's too early. It is too early for an foot licking. There are times when you just want your coffee or tea or whatever, and other times when, you know, actually I'm not a big fan of feet personally, so I find it slightly bizarre anyway. Trying to see this. I foolishly put my monitor over my shoulder. Not literally over my shoulder, that would be weird. It's behind and to the left of me, so I keep having to look around to see if it's actually. On the plus side, I'm not spending the whole time worrying about what I look like. Not that you can see what I look like, but you know what this looks like, which is good. It's good. It's good. It's good. No, that definitely is a copyright tune, George. No. No. I don't know if it's worth it to actually put whiskers on it. Like find something nice and thin. Wouldn't want to put wire though, because that's a bit unfriendly. You want something sort of flexible. I mean, some sort of nylon would work, I think. Like really stiff fishing wire, but thin. Thin but stiff fishing wire or something. I don't know if that's a thing. It's water. La 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 flap 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 flap. It's not ASMR, it's anti-ASMR. No. Not very. How do you guys feel about ASMR? I'm a bit uncertain about the whole phenomenon. I find it a little bit. It gives me the. It gives me the willies, you know. Makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. I do not find it soothing. It literally makes me I mean, it does give me shivers, but not in a good way. Not like, not in a sort of tingly, oh that's nice kind of way. It's very much a, no, stop. It's like, no, can't watch it. I'm the annoying person who will make irritating slurping noises when I see someone eating noodles. I am the horrible person. Not for no good reason. Does that make sense? Not for no good reason am I. Is this the goblins of creation? I'm definitely a goblin when it comes to stuff like that. Stuff. Do you hear me? Self-censorship. Good girl. She's so good. Such a good girl. One day I'll be able to do it IRL. I mean, if you get ASMR from this sort of thing, then all good for you. Anything. I'm very much a believer in anything that gets you through the day is good. Because the days lately have been tricky. I am a sleepy boy most of the time these days. BOI, by the way. I'm a gender neutral boy. In that particular instance, obviously. Most of the rest of the time I am. I don't know, man. Why am I? Probably a potato of some kind. It'd be nice to have a clear idea of what one is at a nice early age. I'm trying to copy the way I think the fur should fall, but I may be doing it wrong. I'm sure if you're an animal-y type person, then you will tell me, or not, whether I'm doing it right or not. Be nice to know. It's just nice to, you know, feel the one's not doing a complete balls up. Maybe that's just me. I quite like to be able to do more graphic designy stuff sometimes. My problem is I tend to go with the expression rather than the actual thingness of things. Does that make any sort of sense? People who are good at like graphic design and illustration, they can just look at a thing and it's like they can see the basicness of it, you know, what makes it, which is really cool. I tend to see what it feels like, if that makes any sort of sense. So even though I try and do illustration, I can't help but stick in some form of abstraction, because things don't, I don't know, I have trouble compartmentalizing in I feel that things are more complex than just what they actually, bollocks, than just what they look like. Why am I like this? Why am I like this? But actually, most things aren't that much more complex. Although advertising is much more complex, because advertising for things makes you want to have emotions about, like, you have to have this emotion about this hand blender, or, you know, you have to have an emotion about this. What's the most boring thing you can think of? Whatever it may be. You have to have emotions about it, even though it's, you know, you have to have a feeling about this potato. Actually, I do have feelings about potatoes. I love potatoes. But, you know, feeling about your toilet paper, you have to be like, you know, does this toilet paper give you positive emotions? It's like, well, yes, if it takes the poo off my butt, yeah, that gives me a positive emotion. That gives me the positive emotion of, I haven't got poo on my butt, yay! Or worse, damp fur. I hate having damp fur. As I'm sure this boy here would hate having damp fur. Often cats dislike damp fur. I'm not sure whether to do the back the same. I mean, I probably will, cause lettuce, cosmopolitan, cosplay, stuff, cause he's a jolly fellow, cause he's a jolly fellow, etc, etc. Oh, she's a jolly good fellow. They are a jolly good fellow, because they're a jolly good fellow. Although fellow always makes me think of chaps. Not like leather chaps, like just men. You say fellow. The fellow of the Royal Society. If I wanted it, you know, if I were ever knighted, I wouldn't want to be a dame. I don't want to be, you know, if I were ever to be, not that it's very likely, but if I were ever to get an honour in that respect, honour in inverted commas, I wouldn't want to be a dame. I definitely want to be a sir. I want to be a knight. I want to be knighted. I don't want to be dameified. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't want to be goddamed. Damned unto hell. God damn. That would be cool. Sir Goblin. Yeah, I could live with that. What do you reckon? He looks handsome. Looks pretty handsome. I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far anyway. I'll probably end up ruining it. Haha, because I can. Problem is, I've sort of painted myself into a corner here, because now I have to try and make him symmetrical, or it symmetrical. Them, definitely them. I have to make them symmetrical, and I'm terrible at that. I went through a phase of drawing masks when I was a smaller human, a tiny human, like really intricate masks, but I'd only ever draw half of them because I couldn't get it the same on both sides, and it bugs me. I probably could if I practiced enough, but it's too chicken. See, look, already it's going wrong. Already it's going wrong. I mean, I know nothing is 100% symmetrical, but when you're talking about I keep saying like. Oh well, not the end of the world. When you're talking about things like this, I mean, animal patterning is very rarely massively asymmetrical. I mean, it may not be 100% symmetrical, but generally it's definitely heading in for symmetry. Sound of me falling off things. Not IRL, obviously. This is just like in my brain. Now I have themed Teen Titans Go in my head. Yay! Not Teen Titans Go. Just Teen Titans. Normal Teen Titans. That feeling when... That feeling when you have Teen Titans in your brain. I mean, you can understand why, you know, black cats are so handy for Halloween, because, you know, you get to have a black cat, you don't have to make him symmetrical because he's, you know, all one colour. He's got angry eyebrows. Oh no, I've given him angry eyebrows. What will I do? Sometimes I should leave it to dry before I add more paint, because I've actually taken some of the paint off of that side and now it looks weird, but that's okay because she says, screaming gently. Screaming gently in the sun. Watched all the Man with No Name spaghetti westerns a few weeks ago. They're really good. I mean, they're not great, you know, for female characterization and stuff, but as story tell it as, you know, as a way of telling stories visually. They are very good. Simple stories told well. That's what we want in life. Simple stories told well. I think that's part of the problem with a lot of things that are going on at the moment. We're not being told the stories properly. And they do say a lot of what's going on is due to poor communication. Which implies that if they were better communicators, things wouldn't be as bad. I don't think things wouldn't be as bad. I think things would be more understood than bad or good, you know? Sometimes understanding something helps you to feel more in control of it. Or if not in control, at least less out of control. And I think that's quite important, you know? The feeling that you're not completely out of the loop. Might just go in with a bit more of a pinky colour here. Or something that is more actual flesh tone than whatever the hell colour this is. Oh yeah, I'm flesh colour. Ha ha, no you're not. Who's flesh? Of course there'll be bound to be someone around who is this exact flesh tone, but seriously, that's a weird one. Although there are a lot. Oh, my kids used to say that when they were little. There are a lot of foundations, makeup foundations, that are very similar to that colour. Normally called like barely pale or biscuit. It's like, this is an undercooked biscuit. I think I've never found a foundation that is exactly the right colour for me. I always feel that it would be like slightly corpsey, because my skin tone is a little bit, it's not great. My skin tone, the tone of colour of my skin is not a good colour. It's kind of olive but never seen the sun olive. No, you know, olive with an emphasis on the green bit. I often wondered about that because I've never actually seen an olive that is the colour of skin that they call olive. If you can find one, show me. Show me. And don't forget to like, subscribe, etc, etc. A bit more. It's not a weird thing, but that's okay. I am also too much water. I am also a weird thing, so that's okay. Yep, see, too much water. I have a horrible feeling also that this is not a symmetrical object. I mean, it's vaguely symmetrical, but it's not actually symmetrical, so using it as a guide to how to make it symmetrical is going to make it even harder. Like, oh my god, what am I like? Mind you, it's only Poundland, so I shouldn't really complain. A whole pound. Although, when you add on the cost of paints and time, and it must be at least, ooh, £1.50's worth. No, I'm joking. Actually, I'm not that joking. I mean, what's my time worth? It's what I wish to charge for it. That's what it's worth. She lied. Going rate? Not much. But that's okay. I would say I'd do this for free, but at the moment I'm doing it for fun, but if someone asked me to do it, I would not do it. I could not do it for free. Not with all conscience. After all, that would mean that someone else who had to charge for their time would have to not charge for their time, you know. People would expect that. Basically, doing things for free, art stuff for free, unless it's like close family and close friends and, you know, but just for exposure or what have you, is just teaching people to take the, what's a nice way of putting it, take the rise. And people should realise that doing, this is just a vague thing, that art is, even crap art, is actually worth money, because there's someone's time and their patience and or materials. Even if you just pay for materials and minimum wage, most artists don't actually charge what they should charge. Especially people who say things like, oh, I just like to do it. And it's like, yes, we're not saying you shouldn't like to do it. However, because you like to do it and you will do it for free, someone will go to you rather than someone else. And it's like, that's not how these things work. And yeah, I'm also not saying that people shouldn't go to people who do that, but you should at least offer to pay them. It's something I feel quite strongly about, because I'm doing this for free, but then I'm doing it for myself, so I'm just showing you that I'm doing it, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you or anyone else in that. I'm sure it makes sense to me, but here we are. But here we are, deep in the forest of my brain. Basically saying that if you do work, you should be paid for it, whatever that work may be. I mean, you wouldn't expect a doctor to come around and not get paid for their work, would you? Not that I'm saying it's equivalent, but you know, it's not equivalent. You know, people spend a long time getting their mastery in the arts, whether they got a certificate to prove it or not. Anyone who can draw something that you like, or paint something, or sing, or what have you, they spent time practicing, and they've spent time learning how to do something that you enjoy. Why not give them the benefit of a little? I mean, I don't know if it's a problem with architecture. Do architects get a lot of people trying to get them to do free work? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the only architect I know changed from being an architect to a fine artist, so I don't know if it's because they weren't getting satisfied with architecture, or really, we never really felt I got down to the bottom of that. It seems, you know. Although I don't think they fully gave up their architecture business. But then who gives up their day job when they start doing fine art? I mean, it's a competitive field. Not only is it a competitive field, but it's really hard to figure out what it is that makes one successful in that field. Getting paid, I suppose. But that's just one measure of success. Being used as an example by other artists as maybe that's success. It's like being referenced, although that won't put a roof over your head, sadly. I wish it did. That'd be cool. Can you imagine? Oh, that looks weird. I think that maybe the lighting doesn't help. It's weird that they've made the nose on this a hole, because I feel that it shouldn't be a hole. I feel that there should be like a mouth that's a hole rather than a... Maybe that's what I should have done, rather than make like a traditional cat, is make that like the little mouth and make like the nose up here or something. I don't know. I'm going to do this like this for now. If I get bored, or I may change my mind. That is also a prerogative that I have. Changing my mind. I can do that if I want to. I can do it if I want to. And I can change my mind as well. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Oh, don't do that. Stop trying to sing. I don't know if this is really how cat be like. Be like? Is this cat be like? I'm not even sure how this even speak words. Sometimes I just can't speak words. But that's okay. She says, not speaking words very well. I'm trying to make it vaguely symmetrical, but it's just not working out. And it's partially me, and it's partially the bloody thing itself, which is a pain in the potato. A pain in the potato. La 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 la. was thinking maybe I might put some paper in the eye sockets. Just obviously I wouldn't use candle, like a proper candle. I'd use like one of those electric ones. I was going to do that rather than a candle, like a flamey candle. I also have a flamey candle. Take yourself a flamey little candle. Let your Yuletide. Shut up. Is it that time of year again? Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, how marmalade is a marmalade cat? That's what you have to ask yourself. Is there a lot of marmalade in it? Or is it just, you know, is it just like orange jam? You always wanted to be ginger. Din, 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 din. You can even see, I'm just taking the thing off. I don't even know if you can see this. I don't know how much of this is good. Probably not that much. Enough though. Must stop being anti-self. Must chill. Chillax, man. Just chill, baby. Chill. Of course, when I say that cats are normally symmetrical, that's not true. Of course, you get many cats where their markings are asymmetrical. Black and white cats are quite notorious for that. Tortoise shells, obviously, but then tortoise shells are chimeric, so they're actually two different cats together. That's how come they have the colouring that is one type of cat mixed with another type of cat. It's because they are actually two different kinds of cat, or they are two different cats. It's quite unusual. Only females can do it, evidently. So I hear, anyway. I mean, I'm not a vet, so don't quote me. I can't, you know. That was my understanding of it. People say, "Oh, but gingers can't be boys. Gingers can't be girls," because it always used to be it was always a ginger Tom, that you talk about. But there are actually just as many female gingers. It's not all just what's his face? Oh, what's his name? It's actually a good film I saw recently. On a completely separate note to gingers, two very dark-haired actors. It was Destination Wedding. It's pretty good. It's funny. It was yeah, because it's the one with Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder. She's had a bit of a resurgence in her life, which is good, because even though she seems nutty as a fruit cake, she's She seems more interesting than most. A lot of actresses or actors at the moment. But then I think, well, this is difficult, isn't it? Because of course she was a child actor, so growing up in the spotlight is hard. I wouldn't fancy it. Or she was very young. I don't know about child, but she was very young. A bit like Drew Barrymore, went a bit off the rails. Robert Downey, not quite as much as, well, I did, yeah, Robert Downey Jr. went well off the rails. I don't know what the, I'm not sure which gender is actually easiest to come back from those sort of things. I suppose it depends on what they do. I mean, O.J. Simpson, which is, no, he still gets jobs and yeah, stuff. I think murder is perhaps one of those things you perhaps shouldn't bounce back from so easily. But then I suppose they didn't prove it in a court of law, so. But yeah, anyway, Destination Wedding, good film, good film. Funny, cynical, interesting as well, because it's basically just them talking the whole way through. I don't think that anyone else actually talks, which is kind of a weird scenario. But it does make it definitely more interesting than your average rom-com. I'm not a big fan of rom-coms, as you know. Well, if you know me, you know I'm not a big fan of rom-coms. If you don't know me, I'm not a big fan of rom-coms. Mainly because they're a bit silly. And not silly in a good way. They're not like, I don't know, most of the rom-coms I actually enjoy are offbeat, a bit like this one, as I say, this Destination Wedding, and it's the scenario is these two misfits. One of them's the groom's ex, one of them's the groom's brother, and they're basically sat together on the plane and sat together on the, you know, on the also rans table and what have you, you know. And I mean, one trope that it does continue is the they hate each other and then they fall in love thing, which is not actually how a lot of things work, or indeed anything. And Keanu Reeves is like a complete misanthrope, and Winona Ryder, well, he's a complete misanthrope that totally doesn't believe in love, da 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 da, and everything's all very sort of rational and stuff. But you know, and and they go through the thing where they talk about, you know, parents and what have you, and his dad was obviously a nut job and made him very feel, and his mother and father very much made him feel that love was not a thing that would grace his life, or that he would decide not to grace his life. And but you could see as they went along, they basically spent the whole time, even though they were whinging about being stuck together and stuff, they spent the whole time with each other. And possibly had the most awkward love scene I've ever seen in my life. So very realistic in that regard. I do love realism. It was very refreshing to see it, you know. It wasn't one of those typical romantic things where it's all like, you know, attractive people with you know, the cute, you know, they're pretty clothes and they suddenly start kissing as they, you know, it's all passionate and what have you. It's it was quite funny. Although I couldn't have done it because they were doing it in the field and I'm very allergic to grass, so I would have died in the same situation. But I can see, you know, that awkward sort of, well, let's do it here. At least they weren't trying to put on a show. Well, except maybe for the, yeah, it's quite funny. Anyway, I found it quite funny. Too twee? Too twee? What do you reckon, guys? Is this too twee? I'm worried that it might be. But then is that necessarily a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, if being twee helps people out, if being twee makes people feel comfortable, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I just don't know anymore. It's really hard. Or difficult, I should say. Because things at the moment are tricky. Oh, I can hear Kevin coming. Oh no.